The views shared on this show are my own and not those of Fam Radio. I am not a pastor or trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just sharing my journey. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and let's grow together.
From Ohio to Atlanta, mixing music and ministry, this is the London Elixir Show on Fam Radio.
What's up, cousins? Welcome to the London Elixir Show, where we dive into faith, music, entrepreneurship, and all things creative. I am your host, London Elixir, and I'm so excited to have you here for episode 5. Oh my gosh, y'all. Can y'all believe we made it into month 2 of the London Elixir Show? Shout out to God. I know the intro music is different today, and that's because I'm feeling celebratory. This episode is extra special because I have a surprise guest coming on the show today. And we are doing a giveaway based on information from this episode. If you are following me on Instagram, then you should already know about the giveaway. If not, be sure to check out my recent post about it. My Instagram is at London Elixir, the letter L, the letter X. And Elixir is spelled E-L-I-X-I-R. But just to let you know, we are giving away 3 amazing prizes. That's right, 3 people are going to win, and that could be you. Here are the prizes. We're giving away a virtual ticket to Sync Spotlight, which is an amazing Sync conference taking place in April in Atlanta. It is a virtual ticket though, so whoever wins, you will be able to attend it virtually. I actually spoke at last year's event, and this year I'll be attending, so I wanted to spread the love by blessing one of you with a free virtual ticket to the conference. I'm also giving away a free consultation with me. Ask me all your questions about sync, entrepreneurship, DJing, faith, whatever. And then the third winner is going to receive the opportunity to have their song played right here on the London Elixir Show. All the details for how to enter and how to win the giveaway are on my Instagram post, so be sure to check it out. Don't forget, my Instagram is London Elixir, the letter L, the letter X, okay? And again, Elixir is spelled E-L-I-X-I-R. All right, before we get into the show, I have to send a huge shout out to Fam Radio for giving me this platform to share with y'all. Big thanks to John and the entire team for making this possible. If you want to support the show, here's how you can get involved. You could donate to keep the show going strong. You could submit your music to be featured in future episodes. And you can also suggest topics and questions for upcoming shows. Just head on over to www.londonelixir.com/show to make it happen. And of course, stay connected with me on Instagram and TikTok for more updates and exclusive content. All right, let's get into it. Y'all know how we do. We got to kick it off with our FaithWorks segment. If this is your first time tuning in, let me tell you what this segment is all about. The name FaithWorks has a dual meaning. First, it's a reminder that faith isn't just something we talk about. It's something we actively live out. It's about putting our trust into action and watching how God moves in our lives and careers. But it also reflects my personal faith works, the ways I let my faith guide my decisions, both personally and professionally. This segment is inspired by James 2:26, which says, "For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also." For today's FaithWorks segment, we are going to get into a short Bible story. This story is found in Numbers 13 and 14, so please take some time to read it fully on your own later, because I'm going to be paraphrasing and jumping around a bit. All right, let's start with Numbers 13 at verse 1. This is the NIV. The Lord said to Moses, "Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe send one of its leaders." So at the Lord's command, Moses sent them out from the desert of Paran. All of them were leaders of the Israelites. Okay, pausing for the cause to make sure everybody's keeping up. So there are 12 tribes of Israel. Each tribe has one representative go on this mission to explore the land of Canaan. So that's 12 people total. Now, let's read verses 18 through 20 to see what type of intel Moses expected these 12 spies to bring back. These were his instructions to them. "See what the land is like, and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land." It was the season for the first ripe grapes. Okay, let's pause again. So off they went. They're exploring this land that the Lord planned to give them. And the Bible tells us how this went. Let's look on to verses 23 through 25. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole between them, along with some pomegranates and figs. That place was called the Valley of Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes the Israelites cut off there. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. Side note, Eshcol means cluster. But imagine that, needing to carry 1 cluster of grapes on a pole between 2 people. This land was rich, y'all. They explored it for 40 days and they returned to give their report. So let's keep reading to see what the report was. I'm going to start at verse 27. They gave Moses this account. We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there. Okay, let's pause. Listen to how their report starts versus where it ends. First, they speak of what they saw. They acknowledge how great the land is. They confirm the expectation that it does indeed flow with milk and honey. They even show off the gigantic fruit they brought back from their exploration of this land. But then they begin to speak out of fear. They say the people who live there are powerful. The cities are fortified. They even say they saw descendants of Anak, which are known in the Bible as giants. I'm pausing here to acknowledge a couple things. 1, at no point in this report were these people speaking out of faith. They spoke purely out of sight and then out of fear, but I don't see any hints of faith in their conversation. And then secondly, if the fruit of the land is giant, of course the people who live there are going to be giant as well. If we are expecting God to grant us with giant blessings, we have to be ready to face some giant obstacles, but we won't be alone. God has already promised this land to the Israelites, so there's no need to fear the current inhabitants, no matter how giant they are. There were only 2 people out of the 12 spies who spoke out of faith when giving their report. The first to speak up was a man named Caleb, and it's in verse 30. Let's read it. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are." And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, "The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Isn't it crazy how all 12 of these people, they spent the same 40 days exploring this land, yet only Joshua and Caleb came back with hope and excitement, while the other 10 were stirring up the community and placing fear in the hearts of the Israelites. The Bible says Joshua and Caleb tore their clothes, and I'm going to jump to Numbers 14 verse 7 now and just read this. This is what Joshua and Caleb were saying. "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." All right, y'all, I'm going to stop right here because this is the highlight of today's FaithWorks segment. I'm not going to read the whole story because I'm trying to keep these segments relatively short. And also, I kind of want to leave you on a cliffhanger, so you have to go and read the Bible for yourself to see how this story shakes out. We're in Numbers 13 and 14, y'all. Trust me, it's good. Please, please, please go read it because this really is loaded with a lot of takeaways that I can't spend the whole show focusing on today, but I would love for you to go and ask God to reveal to you what he wants you to take away from this word. So I'm going to get back to the highlight of today's FaithWorks segment, but please do not limit your revelation to what I'm saying today. There's so much in this story. It's so good. But here's what we have for you guys today. It is crucial to have a Caleb on your team, okay? Joshua too, but I'm just going to focus on Caleb for today because he spoke up first. You need somebody in your life who will remind you of God's promise for your life. Someone who can encourage you to have faith over what God has said. Someone who can see the things standing between you and the promise and still say, "We can certainly do it." Let's go up and take possession of what God has promised. Someone who will support you, keep you focused on where God is leading you. Someone who will tell you not to be afraid because the Lord is with you. He is your protection. You don't have to fear anything, even when everyone else is telling you to be afraid or telling you that it won't work. When everyone is maximizing the problem, you need a Caleb in your life to maximize the solution. You need a Caleb in your life to maximize God. And that brings us to my favorite part of this segment. Here is your faith challenge for the week. Take a moment to reflect on the people in your life. What kind of reports do they bring to you? Do they speak only from what they see? Do they speak from fear? Or do they speak in faith? Identify the Calebs in your life, those who encourage you to trust in God's promises, and then ask yourself, are you a Caleb to those around you? If not, write down some ways you can start speaking faith instead of fear over the lives of others. This really is non-negotiable, y'all. I didn't read the rest of Numbers 14 on air, but trust me, you do not want to face the consequences of trusting your fears over trusting God. And if you don't believe me, be sure to go read Numbers chapter 13 and 14 in its entirety on your own, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But that wraps up today's FaithWorks segment. All right, y'all, let's take a music break. When we come back, our surprise guest is going to be in the building. We will be right back with more right here on the London Elixir Show. Welcome back to the London Elixir Show. I am your host, London Elixir, and guess what, y'all? My Caleb is in the building. The one and only Miss Peaches.
Give it up.
Why is you whispering? Many clapping.
They can hear me.
They can hear you. This is the lady who gave me life, y'all. My mom made it to Atlanta. Welcome to the show, Mommy.
Thank you.
For the people who don't have the pleasure of knowing you yet, please give them a little background about who you are. Because you're more than just my mom. You know, you throw like the biggest skate party. You work for the government. You know.
Oh, Lord.
Tell them about yourself.
That's what we doing, Jazz. Okay.
What? It's not like you work for the CIA. Is it a secret?
I'm a federal agent. At least that's what I tell people. Hi, everybody, all the listeners out there. Thank you for having me, Jazz. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Peach Brooks, or, my government, of course, if anybody cares, is Almarie Brooks. But you can just call me Peach. And I have a wonderful set of children. I have 4 children. They're all grown. Yes, God. Give it up for God. And I'm currently employed by the United States government. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I just celebrated my 20th annual Icy Hot Skate Jam.
Let's go.
Yes, it's an international skate jam. Might I add.
Okay.
So we got flags to this.
Okay.
So we got Canada. Who else? London, England.
Mm-hmm.
Japan is the most frequent that comes to my skate jam. So, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, just for fun, before we get into the real questions, what was it like raising me? Like, tell the people real quick, what's it like being my mom?
Child, going there.
Here we do a fun question before we get into the heavy stuff.
Okay. Thank you for fun. Let's see. Jasmine was you was ahead of your time, child. Like, your blessings were just overflowing, like, repeatedly. And it as a parent, and I tell people this all the time, I knew that you had a calling on your life from when you were in my womb. And that's a whole nother story for another day. Mm-hmm. Maybe today. I don't know.
See
I don't know how you feeling with that.
Yeah, we're going to see how it goes.
But your blessings kind of like superseded your age. It's like you had like grown-up blessings as a kid. And half the time I could barely keep up. Like, okay, God, you got her doing this already? Okay. Mm-hmm. And it was like a repeated, okay, God. Okay. And there was several business ventures that you delved into at the age of 16.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we was just out. I took my daughters out to lunch at a local mall in Columbus. It was called East, and Arnold Schwarzenegger owns it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Schwarzenegger, as your aunt says.
Shout out to my Aunt Joanne.
So, you were just like, oh, what is the Funny Bone? It was a comedy show, or a comedy club rather. And you were like, what's the Funny Bone? And I told you, and you said, are teenagers allowed in there? And I said, no, because they serve alcohol. And you said, oh, I want to go. And I said, well, go on.
Yep.
And you traipsed your little self right on across the hall and went talk to the manager as I'm sitting there eating, watching you go across the hall because it's all glass so I can see. And came back with a business card. And from that, a Columbus Teen Idol was birthed.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah. That's crazy. You know, for the listeners, I usually don't talk about Columbus Teen Idol that much, but every time it comes up, I'm like, that really was a big thing that I did at the age. I was 15 at the time, 16 by the time we actually put the show together. But like that day, I ended up getting a business card for the manager and sent him an email like, hey, you guys don't let kids come in there. I think it would be something fun for the teenagers to be able to do, come to a comedy show. And when he responded back, I think it was maybe a couple months later, he was like, sure, let's set up a meeting and talk about your idea. And then me and you went and sat down with him, and he immediately was like, okay, so you need to get flyers made. You need to do this. You need to decide how much you're going to charge. You need to, and he just was kind of putting it all back on me, which was interesting because I was like, looking at you like, I'm 15. Like, what does he expect me to do? And I remember walking away and saying that, like, I did not know that he was going to put that all on me. And you was just like, but you could do it, Jazz. Like, I'll help you. You could do it. And we did it. We sold out 4 shows. Like, we did that thing. And it was more than just a comedy show. I turned it into a talent show, and I let people come and audition and perform. I had sponsors from the radio station come in and be judges, and DJ, and no, not DJ, they were just judges. It was DJs from the radio, like DJ Dami Styles. We had City News. It was a lot of people that came. Wallaby, exactly. And you know, I was taking piano lessons at the time. I had my piano instructor sponsor a free demo recording session for the winner. We also gave out cash prizes. We had trophies. It was a big deal for the teens in Columbus, and that was, you know, one of the starts to my entrepreneurship lifestyle. And that kind of swings me right into my next question, because you just saying, go on over there and do it. Like, I'm like, why don't they let kids in? Go ask them. Like, that just kind of like empowered me to do something about a need that I felt, you know? And it was that type of encouragement. So we actually just talked about the importance of having a Caleb in your life. And y'all, my mom is my Caleb, like prime example. I talk about this in my book. In chapter 3 of PTO Praise Time Off, for those who have not read it yet, I'm going to tell y'all the story on air. I remember when God was telling me to quit my job, and the call began to feel more and more urgent, and I knew what he was saying, and I had always wanted to quit my job to run my business full time, but I did not feel ready. I wasn't DJing at the time. I did not have any sync placements. I didn't even have consistent clients. Like, there was nothing that made me feel comfortable about quitting my job at that time. So financially, I was spooked. But I knew what God was saying, and I knew he was saying to do it at that moment. And I also knew I had to be obedient, but I was afraid. So I called my mom to express what I was feeling, and she was my Caleb in that moment. Do you remember me calling you that day?
I do.
You want to talk about it?
No, I don't remember everything.
Wasn't you out with your friend? I think you was out with your friend drinking. Listen, this is a real show, y'all.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you don't remember. You don't remember? Dang, that's the first question. What was going through your mind when I called you? Because you knew exactly what to say. I kind of want to leave it in. We not live.
Okay.
But I kind of want to leave this in. It's real.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, my God.
What you guys said?
When I called you, you was out with Vicky, I believe. Y'all was out together, and I called you, and you was like, oh, let me step away and go to the bathroom real quick so I could hear you. Okay. And I was like, you know, I just really feel like God, your face right now is like, it's not ringing a bell.
I want you keep going.
I was like, oh my God. If it ain't ringing the bell by now, ain't nobody home. Oh my gosh.
What did you just call me?
What? All right. Is it time for a music break? We might. I was asking you, like, you know, basically I was just expressing like, man, I'm really scared to quit my job, like, but I feel like God is telling me to quit my job. And you basically told me the story about about how I was born.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I went into that day.
I think so.
Okay, I remember sharing that with you. I didn't know it was that day, but yeah.
Well, shoot, if it wasn't that day, it was around that time.
Okay.
That's what I remember you telling me. So you want to get into that?
Yeah. So, if that was the story that I shared with you that particular day, it was basically me just encouraging you to do whatever it is that God is telling you to do and line up with his plan for you, because of the way that when you were in my womb, how he worked on me. At the time, I was raised in church, but I wasn't in church at the time. And when I found out I was pregnant, I had moved back home from Nashville, Tennessee, back to Columbus. So I went from the military to Nashville, went to school, left Nashville, and went back to Columbus because my mom and her husband were both sick. And so when I moved back home, that's when I found out I was pregnant. I'm like, oh my goodness. You know, I tell my mom, like, hey, it's not just me, you know, I'm pregnant. And she's like so excited. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's get prepared for a new baby. And then I took sick. So I'm supposed to be there helping them in my mind, and they're helping me because I'm sick. So I had a sickness called hyperemesis granulosa, where it's not just morning sickness, it's all day sickness. And long story short, it had me down for my whole first trimester. But I didn't know that it was going to end like it did, because the doctor had a prognosis that said, you know, it could go on into your second trimester, your third trimester. You could be sick like this your whole pregnancy. And you have options. One thing is to get away from your stressful environment, which, you know, taking care of my parents, and then moving here to take care of them, and then not being able to because then I was sick. Or you can terminate the pregnancy, and because most likely the baby's going to get messed up from all of the vomiting that you're doing all day long, dry heaving. And so after 3 more admissions to the hospital, I decided that I was going to go ahead and terminate. And I scheduled an appointment for a Monday afternoon. And I remember that Friday going to the Lord as a sinner. And that's a testimony within itself, because the Lord does hear sinners' prayers. Because I went to him, and like I said, I was raised in church, so I knew to go to God. And I negotiated with him. I said, God, please, if you just help me not be sick anymore, I will not terminate this pregnancy. And I got up, wasn't sick the rest of that night. I took my bucket to bed because I was used to vomiting all night. I didn't vomit that night. The next morning I got up. It was my oldest son's, I think it was his 2nd birthday. And my mom had already started the grill, you know, getting the pool and stuff ready. And I went out and helped her. She was surprised. Everybody that came to the party was surprised. I was surprised. Before I knew it, the day had ended, and I hadn't been sick all day. So the next day was Sunday. I wake up again. I made it through the night. I was like, okay. I completely forgot that I had prayed that prayer. That's how quick it was. One of them quick, short prayers. It was like, God, if you help me feel better, I won't. And so I was going on about my day, just waiting to get sick at any moment, like a lack of faith. And long story short, that Monday morning when I woke up, is when it hit me like, I haven't been sick all weekend. I feel so good. And it hit me like, oh my God, he answered my prayer. Like from the moment that I said that prayer, I did not get sick again until I was in the delivery room.
Jesus.
I couldn't wait to call and cancel that appointment that Monday morning. I was like, no, sir, nope, not today. Click. But that's just a testimony within itself of how I knew when I shared it with you, it was a touchy situation to share with a kid, of course, the possible, their fate.
Yeah.
But God saved them. And so I knew that God had a plan for you. I said, God, whatever you got planned for this baby right here, it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see it. So from that day on, I just knew, like whatever you do is great. And he has not failed. Like everything you do, everything you touch, everything is blessed and anointed. And you do your best and you keep each other encouraged. Like you were saying, I'm your Caleb. Shoot, you're my Caleb. Like you keep me encouraged. You keep me uplifted. And just like your blessings are beyond your age. And I felt like this all along. Like she's so advanced and God is just blessing her. Like she's like an adult already, just everything, basketball, everything you touch was made music. Your blessings are beyond your age, and so is your faith. Like it exceeds mine. I can't keep up half the time, but I do my best to keep up with your blessings, your faith level. I can't even explain how much God has really worked on you as a young lady to the point where like I was not where you are right now when I was your age. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you, how you encourage me and keep me lifted up and accountable as I do you.
Yeah,
I think
same.
we do each other. We like tag team on that part. But
Absolutely.
it's much appreciated.
Aw, well, thank you.
I love you.
Aw, I love you too. All right, let's take a music break real quick, y'all. We'll be right back with more on the London Elixir Show. Welcome back to the London Elixir Show. I'm your host, London Elixir, and we are still in the studio with my mom, Miss Peaches.
Hey, girl, hey.
All right, let's get back into it. So growing up, I remember always being really involved in church. Like we were at Sunday school, vacation Bible school, choir. We was on the drill team. We had to memorize poems for Easter. We was in plays. Like we was in that church, okay? Like first service, second service, chicken in between. So
All right.
waiting for you to talk to people at the end of church when we was ready to go home. Like we hadn't already been there all day. Okay. You made sure that we had that foundation though. So how do you think that, being in church helps shape kids' faith? Because, a lot of parents they might not be in church themselves. And even the ones who are don't always force their kids to go to church with them. So how do you think that plays a role in a child's upbringing, the importance of them being in church?
I feel like definitely you should train a child in the way that they should go. And should is a major word. And it could be eliminated from that scripture. Train a child in the way that they go. Whatever the child is going to do, you support it. But you want to train them in the way that they should go. So my family, not just my mom, but my dad's side, my aunts and uncles, everybody raised us to respect God, be self-sufficient adult, just the commandments, the Lord's Prayer, the things that you learn in Sunday school. So we were trained up. So I wanted to do the same for my children. And it was very important to me. So I was involved in everything. So I wanted to offer that to y'all.
Yeah.
And so no matter what type of adult that you turned out to be, that I knew that I done my best.
Yeah.
And I knew that I taught you to respect God and that you would return to him and his ways.
Yeah. Even like I remember a lot of scriptures just from being at church. Like I didn't choose to memorize those. Like at the end of Sunday school, they will always be like, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. This we ask in Jesus' name. Or what's the other one they used to always, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Oh Lord, my strength, my redeemer. We had scriptures that I just memorized because I was there every Sunday, and repetition, you don't have to try, like, and then there were also the scriptures and things that we learned from drill team that we actually had to memorize. We had little hand motions that went with them. And, I might not have fully understood what those scriptures meant at that time, but as an adult, I don't have to try to memorize those. Those are already hidden in my heart, and I'll never forget them because of the fact that I was there. So, like when you instill that in a child, when they grow up, it's already like a foundation for them for when they have to go and explore God on their own, because it's different levels of the Christian walk.
That's how I feel like when, when I was outside, as y'all say it, when I was outside, I knew that I needed to go to God. And that was because, my mom, when I was being raised, we heard a lot of old hymnals.
Yeah.
And that's how we learned about God, through song. And the one that rings a bell is Jesus on the Main Line. Tell him what you want. Okay. So that was instilled in my heart, like music. And then I turned around and instilled scripture in my children. Like, I was the director of the drill team.
Right.
I was the director of the youth choir.
Right.
I was vice president of the usher board. My kids had options, like which one, pick one. Y'all go, whichever one, you gonna learn some scriptures. Even the ushers learn scriptures. Okay. And those are things that you hide in your heart that help you when you're an adult. And I wouldn't be doing my children the right way if I did not do it. I just feel like I would slight y'all if I didn't, because it's in a major way. Yeah. Because everybody deserves to know and love the Lord. And I feel like the ones that don't take their children to church are going to regret it later. Because they're not being a good steward over the things that have been placed in their life and their path and their influence.
Yeah, that's good. So with that being instilled in me, as an adult, I had to learn to study the Bible for myself. And because, going off to college and you not thinking about church, even though I was still in the same city, I was still at college at the Ohio State University. Outside. But after I graduated and I started reading the Bible, I was like, I want to read the Bible from start to finish and just see what I could take from it on my own, not just what I learned from being in church my whole life. And that's when I really feel like God started speaking to me. Once I started really diving into his word, he started revealing things to me and then started telling me his plans for me. And one of those plans was it was time for me to move out of the city. And this, people can't see your face, but she's making a sad face right now. It was time for me to move out of Columbus, Ohio, and try a new city, because he knew the desires of my heart and he knew the plans that he had for me, and they just weren't going to take place if I stayed in Ohio. So tell me what that was like, like you raised me to be grounded in faith, and now this faith is telling me to move away from you. How did you handle that?
The same way that I did everything. I had to accept the fact that I already knew that God had a plan for you. So even though I was going to miss you, that I better get on board and support it, because God was moving and helped you pack, drove you down to Atlanta, got you settled in, and here we are. You out here being amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been 8 years. That was 8 years ago. And here we are. And God did not fail, Everything that has come, I truly believe if I had stayed in Ohio, it wouldn't be like this. Like, I wouldn't have had access to the opportunities, the information, the resources, the people,
Facts.
Like, this was game changing. So to those of you, if you ever feel like God is calling you to move out of your city or to get out of your comfort zone, hey, listen to him, because you limiting yourself by not doing what he has in his plan for your life. He created you. He knows what he created you for, and he knows the environment that you'll thrive in. So don't be afraid. Take that leap. Take that jump.
I brag on you and God every day.
And your support really means a lot. Like, for parents out there who might, have kids who are taking different paths, like that might be unconventional. For example, like even me, choosing to quit my secure software engineering job to run a music business, like, which is completely up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, parents don't always support their kids in those type of decisions. what advice would you give for parents in that situation?
Well, if you had started with the whole teen idol thing,
Mm-hmm.
so you knew that's where you wanted to be and what you wanted to be doing, what you wanted to do with the money. I asked you, like, what are you gonna do with the money from this teen idol stuff? You said, I'm gonna buy music equipment, Mom. Apple this and Apple that. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, go girl.
Yeah.
And the same with music. When you wanted to move here, I had to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
And I would advise any parent in that situation to just encourage your kid. You're not saying I'm getting ready to go out here and do something wrong. They're saying I'm lining up with what God has for me. Get on board.
That's good advice. Get on board. Yes, that's good. All right, y'all. We're going to take another quick music break. Keep it locked right here on the London Elixir Show. Welcome back to the London Elixir Show. I am your host, London Elixir, and we are still in the studio with my mom, Miss Peaches.
Hey.
Aw, she over here about to cry, y'all. So we're going to wrap this up because she's like, there's not very many topics I could talk about without choking up. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything you want to leave the people with or say before you get out of here?
Well, just that. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for just being so willing to line up with what God has for you and be happy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, I knew that you wasn't going to be happy until you were doing exactly what you're doing right now. And so just to see how happy you are, it makes my heart smile. Mm-hmm. And to know that it was spirit led.
Yeah.
So keep your kids in church, people.
That's the takeaway. Put your kids in church, people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I love you. You know,
me too.
This is, your support really has shaped who I am. Like, I hear about people who don't have like great relationships with their moms, and I'm so glad I can't relate. Like, I cannot relate. I think you're awesome. Like, I love you so much. Like, your encouragement, like this entrepreneurship and following God is not like always the easiest thing. A lot of times it's hard. Like, and having the support of your parents, like, it's really important. Like that will like keep you driving forward. Like we said, we're each other's Caleb. So when it looks scary, when it looks like we might be up against some giants, we need somebody who's gonna like, hey, the Lord promised that to you. We got this. Like, don't worry about that. And you like lift me up. And you just make me feel like I'm invincible. Like, ever since Columbus Teen Idol, like, you make me feel like I could do whatever I put my mind to. Like, there's no doubt. If I try, I could do it. And that's because of you.
And
like,
you can.
Thank you.
And you always do great research. It's just amazing some of the stuff that you are self-taught. Just amazing because it's in your heart and that's what you want. So you have no problem finding out all the details and how to make it work and run successfully. So anybody that is in your surroundings, like your circle, they're on the same path of entrepreneurship, research, finding out, execution. All of that, it's
and that's like answered prayers from you, because you've expressed to me that you've prayed about when I moved here that God would surround me by good people, and He has. Like, I've had a lot of great relationships, work relationships, friends, like church family. Shout out to New Vision, my church family.
Pastor Luke.
Yes, Pastor Luke. Shout out to the whole church. But yeah, like those are answered prayers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't thinking about who I was going to be surrounded with. I was just moving. I was, so. God is answering your prayers still, but from the sinner's prayer about the pregnancy all the way up until today, still answering, covered. Okay, shout out to God. So, yes, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in with me and my mom today. Say bye to the people. Why you laughing?
Bye, people.
All right, cousins, it's time for Cousins Corner. This is where I dive into the topics you submitted, your questions, your stories, and ideas. Let's break it down, share some insight, and keep it real. This is your space, so let's get into it. This submission comes from Drea in Detroit, Michigan, and it says, "Hey London, I want to get to know the real you. If you weren't involved in music as a career, what would you be interested in doing?" Okay, Drea, cousin. This is actually a really tough question for me to answer because I don't know. Like, my degree is in computer science and engineering. So I assume that if I was not doing music, I would be working as a software engineer, but that doesn't really answer the question because you asked what would I be interested in doing, and that never really interested me. But I love to travel. I love the beach. I would probably try to find a way to become one of those like travel vloggers, like who get paid to go to these nice resorts and make videos about their experience and go eat at these nice restaurants. Like, I would still be an entrepreneur to answer the question because I just got to find a way to like what I do. So I'm not sure if that, is what you were expecting, but that's the real me. That's the real answer. Thank you for submitting to the Cousins Corner. This submission comes from Bob Smith in New York, and he says, "My question for London is ... Hey, what's up, LOL? I'm just saying hello from New York. Rock on." Shout out to Bob, man. That's my guitar player. He's actually really, really fire. He plays guitar on a lot of the music that I've done with Paris, like the Sink or Swim track, Stand My Ground. It's a lot of songs that we've worked on together. So if you guys need a guitar player, shout out to Bob. He also has a vlog that he does, a blog rather, about music. So you can submit your music for review from him. That was actually how we met. I submitted some of my music years and years ago, and now we work together. So shout out to him. He came to the film premiere and everything. We love good people. Bob is a good person. You can follow him on Instagram at The Static Dive. Bob, cousin, thank you for submitting to the Cousins Corner. Okay, this next one comes from Mason in Columbus, Ohio. It says, "Is it ever too late to get started in sync? And will old school music ever make a comeback?" Mason, cousin, this is actually my brother, y'all. This is my mom's oldest son, so had to show him some love on this one. Listen, old school music is fire. Like, we love throwbacks, especially when it comes to sync. We see a lot of briefs for like what they call decade music. So like period pieces, like 70s, 80s, 60s. Literally just today I seen one for 30s and 40s type of music. So I'm not sure what you specifically consider to be old school music. But yeah, I mean, like, as far as just for listening pleasure too, old school music has never gone out of style. In my opinion, we love a good throwback. And honestly, that's, anybody will be like, oh, back in my day, this is when music was good. And, the older we get, the more music that seems like it's going to be classic becomes classic and blah, blah, blah. I'm rambling. Long story short about the old school music, we love old school music. Yes, make a comeback would. As far as mainstream, I think, yeah, if people start making, we love old school music. Even like the samples, people gravitate towards songs that use samples because it's familiar, because people love old school music. So that's the answer to your second question. The first question, is it ever too late to get started in sync? Personally, I would say no. Like, people decide to do things at different times in their lives, and there's always going to be music being created. There are always going to be shows being created, and those shows are going to need music. So I would say it's not. Like, it will never be too late. Anytime you want to put your mind to something and actually start pursuing it, yeah, because the cool thing about sync is, like, you don't have to be famous. You don't have to have a lot of followers. You don't have to really even be a mainstream artist at all and put your own music out. You could just do music solely for sync. And then if you're a composer or a producer, that works as well. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions, and thank you so much for submitting to the Cousins Corner. This next one comes from Mrs. Otia Moore in Louisiana. This is what she had to say. "Nothing can separate you from the love of God. Once you have accepted His Son in His own image, continue to seek Him daily and watch how He shows up. Oh, how I love the name Jesus." You could finish the lyrics. "I am nothing without Him. Start your relationship today. Wait no longer. I am at peace in the midst of chaos because I know no matter what comes my way, God has already worked it out." Come on now, that sounds like a praise break to me. I don't even think I need to say nothing after that. Okay, Otia, cousin, yes to all of this. I mean, I don't know if somebody on air needed to hear that today, but that message was for you because I mean, I'm speechless. I don't really have anything to add to that. Honestly, I think that's a good note to end today's Cousins Corner on. Thank you for submitting to the Cousins Corner, girl. And that's going to do it for Cousins Corner today. Don't worry if you submitted and you haven't heard your response yet. We have more episodes coming every Sunday on Fam Radio at 5 p.m. EST. You could catch this show with some more Cousins Corner responses. If you want to submit a topic or question to the Cousins Corner, all you have to do is go to our website, which is londonelixir.com/show. That's ELIXIR, by the way. And scroll down to the button that says Cousins Corner and submit to that thing. We can't wait to hear from you and shout you out on air, cousin. All right, y'all. That is a wrap on this episode of the London Elixir Show. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and vibing with me. If you got something valuable out of this, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody who needs to hear it. I appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this journey with me. If you enjoyed the show and want to see it continue to grow, here's how you can get involved. 1. Donate to keep the show going strong. 2. Submit your music to be featured in future episodes. 3. Like I just told you, suggest topics and questions for upcoming shows at the Cousins Corner. You can do all of those things on our website, londonelixir.com/show. Don't forget, we are giving away 3 amazing prizes this week. A virtual ticket to Sync Spotlight, which is an amazing sync conference taking place in April. I'm also giving away a free consultation with me where you can ask me all your questions about sync, faith, entrepreneurship, DJing, music production, whatever. And the third winner will receive the opportunity to have their song played right here on the London Elixir Show. All of the details for how to enter and win are on my Instagram post, so be sure to check it out. Don't forget, because this is only going on for this week, so you kind of need to act fast. Follow me on Instagram at London Elixir, the letter L, the letter X. London Elixir, the letter L, the letter X. Until next time, remember, faith works when you do. Keep the faith, keep creating, and keep believing. See you next week on the London Elixir Show.